Hello. So this is the second one in the Sailor Scouts Devil Fruit series of videos that I'm doing. As I said, there's only going to be about 5 or so of these. I might decide to do one on like Luna, Artemis, and Diana, but maybe not. I haven't made that decision yet. But the ones after this one, the one after this one will be Uranus and Neptune, and then Pluto and Saturn, and then Sailor Moon, Sailor Moony Moon, and Tuxedo Mask. So we are joined today. The background players today we got Jolteon for Sailor Jupiter, and we have Victini for Sailor Venus. And the manga that I have are the Jupiter one that has Sailor Jupiter on the cover, and Mina, Sailor Venus, on the cover for the 2 Sailor Moon ones. And then for the One Piece ones, representing the Gorogoro no Mi, is basically that one works very well for Sailor Jupiter, which I'll get into. We have volume number 30 that has Eneru on the cover with Eneru versus Luffy from Skypiea. And then the other one is actually from the Amazon Lily arc with Boa Hancock and her sisters on the cover, and that is volume 53. You'll get why those are there if in a moment when I get to Sailor Venus. And Victini is here because I don't really have a Pokemon that works well for like Sailor Venus, but she's also referred to as Sailor V. And Victini is V for victory, so that's Victini. So we are going to start off with Sailor Jupiter, Lita Kino, Kino Makoto, all of her various names from her Sailor Scout name, her English dub name from the original English dub, and then her actual name from the Japanese. So we're going to start with Jupiter's power set. I'll probably go back and forth between Lita and Jupiter in this. For Lita's power set, we have her main attacks are definitely all electricity based because she's Jupiter, which is a reference to the planet Jupiter, which is the Roman god equivalent of Zeus, who is, of course, the king of the gods, wielder of electricity, thunder and lightning. I would also be not surprised at all in the slightest if there is, something where she could be also a very good wielder of like the power that Thor has, because it's the same idea. Because they kind of have that same equivalency there. Lita's symbols are lightning, of course, lightning and thunder. She also has a wreath, which is also a representation of a lot of the Roman gods would wear wreaths on their heads, and in Lita's case, it is a wreath of I don't remember if they're actually supposed to be those specific types of leaves. I don't remember exactly what the type of leaves are that they would use for those, the wreaths that they would make for their heads. But in her case, they are actually oak tree leaves, or they're a reference to oak tree leaves, which I'll get to, because the oak tree was also a symbol for Zeus and Jupiter. So Zeus, Jupiter, of course. And Jupiter is also physically the strongest, I believe, of all of the Sailor Scouts. She's also a very good fighter and martial artist and such like that. We see that through the course of the series. So her main attacks are Jupiter Thunder, or Jupiter Thunder Clap, depending on which ones. Jupiter Thunder is just she gathers up a whole bunch of electricity around her and then she releases it in a large burst. Jupiter Thunder Clap is she condenses the electricity into just a small amount of electricity, and then she sends it at the opponent, which electrocutes them that way in a much higher voltage. She also has Jupiter Thunder Dragon, which is kind of one of her very over-the-top attacks. Like Sailor Mars has her Firebird, Jupiter has her Thunder Dragon, which is probably not a fun thing to have coming right at you. She has Jupiter Supreme Thunder, which is where it's a much larger version of her Thunderclap or her, Thunder, just a much more over-the-top version. The other attack that she has is Sparkling Wide Pressure, which is just another variation of one of her, thunder moves, electric and thunder moves. She, gathers up a large amount of electricity and then releases it again, although it's just a much higher voltage, I would assume. I would assume like with each level that she goes up, as she gets stronger and her attacks develop, they get, higher and higher in voltage in regards to the amount of damage that you will take when you are hit by them. I would assume that would go for the same with all the Sailor Scouts, because that's what happens with Sailor Moon. It's, as the Sailor Scouts level up in regards to, their transformations get stronger, they get stronger. And then the last attack that Jupiter has is Jupiter Oak Evolution, which is, as I said, they're a reference to the oak tree, which is one of the symbols of Zeus in Greek mythology. Jupiter Oak Evolution is actually the strongest move I think that she gets in the series. That is, I don't think the Thunder Dragon. The Thunder Dragon might be the strongest move, but this is just one of her other moves. I wouldn't say that it's actually electricity based. What it is she gathers up energy around her. Again, this happens with all the Sailor Scouts. They gather up their energy, and when she releases it, it actually releases out of her in leaves. Is what they look like, little leaves that fly out of her when she's spinning around and releasing her attack. And that would be where the Jupiter Oak Evolution comes into play. As I said, her symbols are a wreath and everything that goes along with that, and that's where the Oak Evolution comes in. One of the forms and one of all the Sailor Scouts super forms actually involve them having gone up a level and such. It involves them having gained like the symbol, as I said. Mercury has her her harp, Mars has her bow and arrow, Jupiter has her wreath, and I'll go over Venus's when I get to that. And then in regards to the devil fruit powers that I would say that would probably work best for Jupiter, which of course very obviously brings us to the devil fruit that would work best for Jupiter, which of course would be the Goro Goro no Mi. If you hadn't guessed that by now, with the fact that I have Eneru over here, and that's the Rumble Rumble fruit that allows you to, the Logia fruit that allows you to, of course, become and control and emit electricity, thunder, lightning, all of that, then, don't know what else you thought I was going to give her. I have other devil fruits that go with her, but in this case, we're going to start with that one because that's the most obvious one. Eneru's power, of course, allows him to form different shapes and animals and everything out of the power. He has, he has like a bird attack. He has a whole bunch of other attacks that he uses. He has the one attack where he like electrifies himself and he gets even bigger and, kind of resembles, the god type thing with, the sash, everything around him. When he gets much strong, when he, activates that. And of course, the same rule would apply to Jupiter. If you attack someone that is rubber, aka Luffy, with electric abilities, it's not really going to do anything against him. I would assume the reason that like Kaido's Thunder Bagura actually affects Luffy is not necessarily because of the thunder part, but the fact that you're getting hit with the blunt force object that hits you when you get hit with the with that. But with Eneru, it's 99.9999999 whatever percent of the people that he's fought don't have the ability to be immune to his powers. And Jupiter, for the most part, in the anime and in the manga, I was trying to remember if they actually ever come across a villain that is like rubber. One of the various opponents out of all the different weird creatures and everything that they've fought. I was trying to remember if they ever actually fight any that are like a rubber type of thing. I know there's like a weird ball person that they end up interacting with, but that's not really applied because Jupiter's not there. I was trying to remember if there were any other ones. I don't think so. I guess the other natural enemy that would be for both of them in regards to the Rumble fruit or in just Jupiter's power in general would of course be someone who would be like the, like the Logia of ground, not swamp, like what, Caribou has, but like actual ground, like earth. That would like that type of a Logia ability, or even a Paramecia that would allow you to connect to that. Which I don't think we've come across any of those throughout the course of the series yet. We have people that can affect the ground, but not actually become the ground as far as I'm aware. And then, of course, one of the other ones that I said would work quite well for her would be the, it would be the Mosa Mosa no Mi, which is the Grosgrove Fruit, which is actually a non-canon one from the film Z, where it is actually whelmed by Binns, who is, one of the members of the Neo Marines that works under Zephyr. He has a very interesting outfit choice. But the devil fruit power allows him to grow the grass or grow plants around his opponents. He uses this to ensnare Usopp at the beginning when they're fighting on the beginning of the Thousand Sunny, and then I think he uses it again later when he's fighting against. I think he fights Sanji later on. And so it allows him to grow plants and everything, and he can use it that way. That would go along kind of with the Jupiter Oak evolution portion of it, that it develops her ability to do that. Also, one of other Lita's symbols is also a rose, because she always has rose earrings that she wears, and those are even there when she transforms. There's not too much else that goes along with that. I mean, Lita does like plants and everything, but a lot of the Sailor Scouts like plants and everything that go with that. But there's not too much else that would go with that. One of the other devil fruits, as I mentioned earlier, Lita is physically, I do believe, supposed to be physically the strongest of all of the Sailor Scouts. And she's definitely the physically strongest of the 4 inner Sailor Scouts in Sailor Moon, but I think she's also the physically strongest of all of the Sailor Scouts of our galaxy, our solar system. And in regards to that, I figured a devil fruit that deals with strength. And really the only one that I came up with was like that Rouge's, power up devil fruit, where he, can take so much physical damage, and then he can seems like he can convert it into strength and buff himself up and use it that way. We don't have the name of the devil fruit, of course, for him. In regards to Rouge's devil fruit, we don't have that yet. I guess I'm hoping we'll find out at some point. There's several other ones, like I mentioned in the previous video. Karasu's devil fruit, we don't know what that's called. There's also a few other ones that we don't know exactly what they're called. But, because since Jupiter is so strong, having her ability to, pump up her power would be a very good thing for her to have. Also, she's also quite good at physically taking attacks that come at her. She'll usually, be the one to, kind of block the other Sailor Scouts if they're about to get hit. She'll try to, take those hits for them, which would kind of go well into that power that goes with that devil fruit. And then we get into the devil fruit that more has to do with Lita's dream. Lita's dream is she wants to own a restaurant, and she's an extremely good chef. She's the best chef, cook, whatever you want to refer to it as, out of all of the Sailor Scouts. And she makes her own food so much. She, makes food for the other Scouts so much. And, they're all very happy with her for it. They all thank her for it whenever they make her food, whenever she makes them food. And in regards to that, in regards to a devil fruit that I thought would work extremely well for that, was the Cuckoo no Mi, or the, is it the Cuckoo? I think that's just what it's called. The Cook fruit that Streusen from the Big Mom Pirates has. We were introduced to him during the Whole Cake Island arc. And in regards to his devil fruit, it's, whatever he cuts with his knife turns into food. I think it's stated that the food is nutritious, but it doesn't taste very good. Which, I would assume that depending on how much concentration he's putting into it, it might be able to adjust that. But even if you get like ingredients and you do it that way, and then you cook them better without just, dicing it, now you have food, you would have a better ability of being able to make the food taste better. And Lita would definitely be one of those people who was like, oh no, if I'm cooking something, it's gonna taste amazing. We see her make so much food throughout the course of the series. It's just funny. Or it's just like, I look at that food and I'm like, I want to try it. So that devil fruit would also work quite well for Lita. The other one that I had that kind of went along with the cooking one is the Supa no Mi, which is the dice fruit that Daz Bones, Mr. 1 has from Baroque Works, that works with Crocodile. I kind of went with that one simply just because of, she's a cook, and her having, the ability to form blades out of her, fingers would be good. Or blades out of her body would be a good thing to have. And I'm like, I didn't quite think that that would fit quite so well with her. There was a different Sailor Scout that I kind of thought would be able to use that a little bit better. So I just kind of went more with the cook fruit that would work best for her in regards to her dream. Uh, and that would basically be what I have for Jupiter. There's not really any other devil fruits that I thought would work well for her. I could be wrong. One of Lita's other dreams is she wants to have a boyfriend, and supposedly she's had multiple boyfriends throughout the course of the series, but none of them unfortunately have stuck around. She is actually, I do believe she is actually the oldest of the inner Sailor Scouts, in regards to, out of Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Mercury, and Sailor Moon. Lita is the oldest, I do believe. Um, and so that's just one way that they deal with that. I couldn't think of any others that would work for her. If you can think of any, of course, just, comment on them. Um, those are all of her attacks. The Gorgonomi would be the most likely one that I would give her. And then I would also give her the cook fruit to go in regards to how, she wants to be a chef, and own a restaurant and everything. And hey, I would go for that. I'd invest in that restaurant. If Lita was in the One Piece world, I would say if Lita was in the One Piece world, I would put her more, as I said, blanket umbrella covering for the Sailor Scouts. Most of them, if they were Marines, they would be good Marines. If they were pirates, they'd be good pirates. If they, weren't revolutionaries, they do that. I would put her probably as, well, she wants to be a chef, so I wouldn't be surprised if she got drawn to the Totland and drawn into working for Big Mom and everything. Works with pudding, works under Streusen, works under studies all the food and everything there. That'd be good for Lita. That'd be a good place for her to be. I don't particularly think she would like the concept of Linlin going crazy and attacking everything, but her and Zeus might be able to be good friends in regards to okay, you're a thundercloud that can make electricity. I'm gonna have fun with this. That'd be an interesting match. So that would be what we have for Jupiter. Moving on to Venus, we have, of course, Sailor Venus is Mina, Aino, Minoko, Sailor V, as I mentioned, hence Victini. In regards to her power set, or in regards to the symbols that go with her, most of the time I just more qualify her stuff as light, because that's just what it appears to be most of the time. So light, she's a Sailor Scout of love and beauty, so of course love and hearts and everything. Heart is actually the symbol that she gets later on. It's also, kind of evolves into her attacks and everything. Venus is, of course, a reference to the planet Venus, which is, of course, for the Roman goddess Venus, which is the Roman equivalent of Aphrodite, who is, of course, the goddess of love and beauty. And Mina is, very beautiful. And, that would be more where that would head in regards to, those are kind of where her power would be based in, what she would draw from. And in regards to that, her powers, or her attacks, are Venus Crescent Beam, which is where she gathers a bunch of energy it's in her fingertips, but it kind of comes out of her forehead and everything, and then she fires it out of her fingertips like a light beam, and it attacks her opponents that way. She also has the ability of using that to push it actually to her opponent and send that power through her opponent, in regards to causing a bunch of damage that way. Other attack that she has is Venus Meteor Shower, which I don't remember her using it very often in the series. There's some attacks that the Sailor Scouts don't use too often in the series, either just because they were an extremely strong one that came about because they were in a very dire situation, and they had to use so much of their power to do it, and then it usually leaves them with a little bit of too much magic drain, too much power drain afterwards. Because that happens. We see that happen a fair amount throughout the series to different Sailor Scouts, and it happens to Sailor Moon a few times as well. But Venus Meteor Shower, she just releases a large amount of smaller beams of light that attack her opponent or rain down on the battlefield. And then she has Venus Love Chain, also referred to as Venus Love Chain and Circle, which is where she summons up a large amount of just like a chain that wraps around her. That is like little links of hearts. So they're all like little hearts that are all linked together, and then she can, use them and use them, and she can actually physically hold on to them and wrap her opponent in them. Which goes in regards to she's able to then physically restrain the opponent. And I don't know if it actually causes damage in those cases. It just is more like a physical restraint. And then either one of the other Sailor Scouts can then attack the opponent, or Sailor Moon can then attack the opponent and, defeat the opponent that way. And then the other one that Venus has is Venus Love and Beauty Shock, which is basically just her going, and she forms a heart, and then she, sends it out around her, and it forms into like other smaller hearts, and then they attack the opponent that way. Rains the attack down on the opponent that way and hits them that way. Which, that's just more how that attack works for her. And then in regards to one of her other roles is she is also the bodyguard / body double for Serena. If Sailor Moon back in the past in the Silver Millennium, she was the body double / bodyguard, head of the Sailor Scouts. It was her job to act as the body double for the princess if the princess needed to escape, since they both have blonde hair and very similar features in regards to their, body structure. They would be able to, she could pass off as Serena, and, Serena can go one way and escape, and then, she can go the other way and, draw the attention of the opponent. I'll go over that in a moment, but the devil fruits that I thought would work best for her, in regards to the light power that kind of comes with the Venus, I went with the Pika Pika no Mi, which is the Glint Glint fruit, which is the Logia type fruit that Borsalino / Kizaru has. And that would just more go with the fact of he does have attacks where he can, rain down his, light all over the opponents. He can use it to form, swords out of his light, which, is kind of similar to what Mina does in regards to being able to, rain down her attacks on her opponents in regards to little shards of light, like happens with the Venus Meteor shower, and even with the Venus Crescent beam and the Love and Beauty shock. And then in regards to, the physically forming stuff goes with the Love Chain and Circle that she uses. And those would be more what would go for that. Venus being able to use the Glint Glint fruit. And then in regards to kind of going off of the, kind of more as like a joke thing, but it goes with the fact that she's, the goddess of, based off of the goddess of love and beauty. And Venus is, very beautiful. I mean, all the Sailor Scouts are beautiful, but, she's, goddess of love and beauty is kind of, where she comes from, and she's the Sailor Scout of love and beauty. That is where why I have the Amazon Lily one over here, because I went with the Mero Mero no Mi, the Love fruit that Bella Hancock has, as another one that would also work quite well for her. Partially because of, Venus's attacks come out in hearts sometimes, and the Mero Mero no Mi releases in, different heart beams, or, her slave arrows, heart arrows, whatever that she uses, that, Hancock uses a lot. So I kind of went with that. In regards to that power. I don't necessarily think Venus would be using it to turn people to stone, but, they turn them into stone, and then the other Sailor Scouts can attack them. Kind of works well. A lot of the opponents that they tend to fight are usually just, monsters that have been created, and it's okay if they kill them. They're not like actual living things. Occasionally they deal with actual living things, but not most of the time. Not for like the the villain of the monster of the episode, monster of the week, whatever that they have to fight, is usually just something that was created by the science, by the power, whatever of the different whatever villain they're fighting, whatever villainous group they're fighting at the time. In regards to that, as I said, the Mero Mero no Mi would probably be okay for Venus to have. She is very beautiful, so she would be able to probably use it similar to how Hancock uses it in regards to, oh, I'm so, I'm so sweet and innocent and so beautiful, and then turns them all to stone because, they think something bad about it. They think a dirty thought about her. I don't think Mina would be using it quite the same way in regards to the, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so far above you type thing that Hancock does, where, she laughs, she's looking down on you so far, she's looking up. I don't think Mina would do that. I don't think any of the Sailor Scouts would do that by any means. But that would be that for Mina. Um, the other one that I gave her that was kind of based on power is actually I think it's the Jara Jara no Mi, that is the Chain fruit, that is the non-canon one from the One Piece Heart of Gold, which is wielded by Mad Treasure, who is just the opponent that they have to fight in that movie. He's the captain of a treasure seeking pirate crew that is more, they want treasure, but they're more in it in regards for like the adventure of getting to the treasure. And then, they like the treasure, but it's kind of the challenge of getting the treasure that I guess kind of more is what they're in. But he has to fight Luffy at one point, and he's not a nice guy by any means. But he uses, he's able to summon chains. He's a Paramecian. He's able to summon chains. And I kind of want that along the lines of, Venus summons chains when she uses her, love chain and circle, and uses it kind of the same way, uses it to trap the opponent. And that's kind of where I put that in for her. There wasn't too much else that went with that, but that was where that came from. And then the other one that I gave her, in regards to the role that she had to play as like the bodyguard, was the Mane Mane no Mi, the clone fruit that, of course, Mr. Tu Bon Clay has, or Bantam of the Wild, as he's referred to. Kind of all those names. I just always referred to him as Bon Clay because that was what I originally heard him as. And that is, as I said, that's based on her ability, her role as being, Princess Serenity's bodyguard. And, it's the whole, that, touch the face, can copy it, and then touch it with the other hand, and then you turn back into, you can, change into the person and then change back into yourself. Venus being able to transform into, Serena, and then, act as a diversion so Serena can escape, would be a very good way of using that. Or also using it as a way to, mimic one of the other Sailor Scouts, or even, mimic one of the opponents and then go behind enemy lines. And pretend to be them and gather information that way. That's not really something that they tend to use in Sailor Moon in regards to like going and getting information from behind enemy lines. Not too often, just because they don't usually know how to find the enemy. Which is just more so it just gives the enemy the ability to hide, and then they can oh, now we're going to attack you, even though it usually results in like somehow they knew the enemy some other way or whatever, or like all the Sailor Scouts at some point, or usually ends up getting like targeted by the enemy at some point, just to, because they need to have that happen. And, they do it that way. But Mina being able to change back and forth into Sailor Moon would be a good way to do it. Obviously, she wouldn't be able to copy her outfit, because that's not what the power does. It just allows you to physically transform into the person. And in regards to that, there was actually an episode of Sailor Moon where Serena is targeted by the villains. It's in season 3 with the Heart Snatchers, or the Death Busters. I don't remember exactly what they were called in that season, but I just referred to them as the Heart Snatchers. And Serena's being targeted by them, and one of the lady that's in charge of them finds Serena's, her, brooch that she uses to transform, and then she's like, oh, well, we have Sailor Moon now, so if you really are Sailor Moon, then, if I get rid of you, even if you're not the person that I particularly need for what I, for this assignment, if I get rid of you, then that'll be a good thing. And, that resulted in, Serena can't transform because she doesn't have her brooch, and the other scouts need to convince said enemy that no, that's not Sailor Moon. She just happens to look like Sailor Moon, and that brooch has to be a fake. So Mina, transforms and dresses up like Sailor Moon, and is able to do that. So she's able to transform into Sailor Moon, and here is Mina as Sailor Moon. As Sailor Moon, she gets hair and everything, and tries to look like her and everything. And they're able to, dissuade the opponent from the bad person from trying to think that, from thinking that, that Serena is actually Sailor Moon. And, so that worked. The plan worked. It's about one of the only times that we actually see Mina take on that responsibility of being the one that is, the body double for Sailor Moon. That's more something that they kind of go a little bit in the manga, but it's not super relevant in the anime or in the original anime. The Crystal anime, since it's based much more on the actual manga, might have some of that in there, but I don't know 100% since I haven't watched a lot of Crystal. I am going to be watching Crystal, I just haven't done that yet. I've read all the manga and seen all the original anime, but the original anime up to like season 5, because they didn't air that here in America, because we can't have men transforming into women. If you don't know what I mean by that, just go look up the Sailor Starlights and it'll explain that to you so quickly. But those are what I had for Sailor Venus and for Sailor Jupiter. Venus's dream didn't really result in a devil fruit. She wanted to become an idol. So she's very good at singing, and she's very good at performing and everything. So a little bit like Ray, as I previously for Sailor Mars, she wanted, Ray wanted to be a singer and an actor and a songwriter and a musician and everything. Mina wants to be an idol. And, for, in Japan, being an idol is, you're someone that does lots of singing and dancing and performing and, acting and stuff like that. That was just kind of the role that went with. And, that's just what Mina wanted to do. And they do a few different times where she kind of has the ability to try that. There's like different contests that she enters and, does, and such, that allows her to try that. We never get 100% resolve on whether or not any of the Sailor Scouts actually get to achieve their dreams. Beyond, Sailor Moon, but it's kind of, implied that they get to, because, Serena, of course, wants all of her friends to be happy and to get their dream. So kind of like Luffy, it's like, yeah, I want to achieve my dream of becoming king of the pirates, but I also want to help all of my friends, my crew, achieve their dreams. And, Brooke's dream wasn't necessarily to become like a rock musician, but he did, and he's kind of an idol now. So, I would assume that if like one of the Straw Hats, like, yeah, they want to travel with Luffy, and yeah, they have like whatever skill that would be, good to have on the crew, maybe not necessarily the musician of the crew themselves, but maybe there was someone that like wanted to become like a famous actor or actress. I would assume that Luffy would be perfectly fine with them wanting to do that. He would just be like, you could do that, but we may have to wait and do that after we achieve our dream. Or I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Nami or Robin points out, having someone who wants to become a famous actor on our crew probably would not be the best idea in the world, because, they would have to stay in either one place doing the acting or whatever the case may be, and that probably wouldn't go over so well. That wouldn't go over too well. I guess the closest thing that we ever saw to an idol in One Piece was, beyond, Brooke becoming a rock star, of course, was, I guess, kind of a Shindri, that we saw in Thriller Bark. Not her zombie herself, but like she was like a singer and an actress and everything before she died. And, Hogback took her and did disturbing things with her. But so, there was Shindri, there was kind of, I guess, the closest thing that we had to an idol beyond, Brooke and his singing and everything as, Soul King. But there wasn't too much else that went with being an idol in One Piece, as far as I can tell. Nami and Robin are very beautiful, and they could probably get, modeling careers and everything. A lot of the women in One Piece could have probably gotten modeling careers in those cases. There's not that many other One Piece characters that we deal with that are like, that have like singing ability or whatever. Which, if there was a devil fruit that had to deal with singing, which I just can't think of any at the moment, if there was a devil fruit that had to do with singing, then that would be quite good for, Mina to have, or one that would like enhance your acting ability or give you the ability to, do something in regards to acting. Like, what is a devil fruit? It's the actomy. It allows me now to do a performance of any level of, of any level of greatness I so choose. Tasted horrible. or like, oh, it allows me to make a stage anywhere that I am, or it instantly makes me like the center of everybody's attention, or something like that. That would be a funny devil fruit to have. That would definitely be a paramecia, but that would be like a funny devil fruit. That would be funny to have. Um, but there wasn't really any other ones that I thought of that would work for Mina. But if Mina was around, she in the One Piece world, she'd want to be like famous, like a everyday person, but she'd want to be famous. I guess a lot of the Sailor Scouts could also be like, everyday people. Amy would want to be a doctor, of course. Ray would probably want to become, the singer musician. She can go and work with Brooke. Um, Lita wants to be the cook, so she can, set up a bakery or whatever type of restaurant or whatever that she wants. um, for those of you that are here from that also watch Teching 101, she can go and start one of the many bakeries that the former villains start. That they start. Although I would assume that she would actually have the better bakery because she actually knows what she's doing in regards to cooking, and she would have like a restaurant there as well. Um, but there wasn't too much else that would go with that. Mina would probably want to become an idol, singer, actress type thing. So kind of like what Shindri was, but then also kind of, like what Brooke is. Um, Minus the being wanted and being a talking, singing rock and roll skeleton. Um, and if you're a Sailor Moon person and you don't know what that meant about One Piece, then go watch One Piece. So, if you don't know that much about Sailor Moon, but you like One Piece, go watch Sailor Moon if you want to try it. If you don't know that much about One Piece and you watch Sailor Moon, go watch One Piece. We're only at like almost episode, 990 something. Yeah, it won't take you that long to catch up. Yeah. Oh God, that would be a long time to get all caught up on that. If you're starting from the beginning, reading is one thing. The anime is a little bit different because there's all the filler arcs. But that's about what we have for those. So that's what we got for this video. Next up, as I said, would be Uranus and Neptune. So that'll be the next one that comes out for this series. So that's what I have for you today. I thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you have a very nice rest of your day. Bye. It's not nice to pick on people weaker than you.